Like in my experience, because I'm a member of Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, Black History Month and all that, I reach out to fellow frat brothers. Use that as a way in. Relationship map allows you to create up to 5 hierarchy maps. Like you can do it for departments, you can do it for the entire organization, but this allows you to kind of have an understanding of the decision-making tree. It's something you can leverage and say, hey, are these still priorities? Are these still challenges? Is this where you guys are going? And it just makes them for a more effective conversation with the customer, but also builds credibility really quickly.
What's up? Welcome to the You Know the Best Pod. I appreciate your support. In return, I hope I provide you with some worthwhile gems that benefit you on your journey. At the very least, I hope I put a smile on your face. If not, hopefully you share this with someone that does benefit, and I got you next time. Again, thanks for joining today, and let's get this thing going.
Welcome to another episode of You Know the Best Pod, where I'm gonna give you the truth, the whole truth, as best I can, so help me God. Today is just me. We're going to talk about LinkedIn Sales Navigator and how to best utilize that tool. Of course, I'm wearing my LinkedIn shirt. I might sound a little weird. I caught a cold while I was at All-Star Weekend, but let's get into it. So first things first, it's mid-quarter for a lot of people. Well, nearing the end of February. So if you're a seller, you know that this is a critical time. You need to be damn near 80% of your goal, if not higher. Because then you're going to start sweating. Like you can't afford to go into March not damn near at your goal. So today I'm going to share some ways that you can leverage Sales Navigator more effectively, more efficiently to reach your goals and hit your quota. Tip number 1, learn how to leverage hidden allies. How do you do that? There are filters in the platform that allow for you to kind of look at people that have shared experiences with you. And what does that mean? That could be past colleagues. That could be people that went to the same school as you. It could be people that are in the same LinkedIn groups as you. Why do you want to use that? You want to use that because it's a warm introduction. It allows you to start a conversation with someone that will likely lead to them actually responding to your outreach. And a lot of times, I use Sales Navigator. I sell the platform. You can use that to kind of spark the conversation. So I've reached out to people that are past colleagues because, hey, they're going to have a unique perspective on how LinkedIn can help their company. They know the inner workings of their company. If they had a great experience at your previous company or at your current company and they left for whatever reason, whether it be promotion, a great opportunity, whatever, they're likely to be advocate for the tool. And if they're the DM, that's great. But if they're not, and they can tell you the inner workings of how the company works that you're reaching out to, there's your end. That's a warmer path into the organization. Same thing with if someone went to school with you. Like a lot of times I'll say go Dogs or HU because I went to Howard and I went to University of Georgia for my MBA. So that's another conversation starter, right? Because you went to the same school, people have an affinity for people that are fellow alumni. And that's a way into the organization that way. Now, if you are in a shared group, like in my experience, because I'm a member of Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, Black History Month and all that, I reach out to fellow frat brothers and, use that as a way in. Because for whatever reason, if you're in a shared group, you guys have shared interests, you can talk about whatever. But that's another way to kind of get into an organization and have a conversation with someone that's, organic. And then, if the conversation goes a certain way, you can leverage that relationship into either, like I said, talking to the decision maker or finding out who the decision maker is or how the company works if your deal has been stalled. So always try to leverage your hidden allies as low hanging fruit. Reaching out into an organization and not having any idea of like any commonalities that you may have with the people that you're reaching out to is going to be harder. So if you can find some commonality with someone that especially is a key stakeholder or decision maker or influencer that can help your deal across the line, you want to leverage that. And Sales Navigator is uniquely equipped to allow you to do that. Let's talk about outreach. So we have emails. You get 50 emails a month if you use the Sales Navigator. And that's an effective tool depending on how you message and how you craft your emails. We always say try to customize that to the person that's receiving it because it's more likely to get a response. I found something that I use. Not everybody is an advocate for this, but from my perspective, I send connection requests. Why do I send connection requests? One, in my experience, people are more likely to accept your connection request than your email. So that's one reason. It requires me to be more concise and effective in my messaging because I only have 300 characters. And I've learned that if you send a connection request with a message, people are more likely to accept your connection request than if you just blanketly send it because they think you're trying to sell them something. That's an effective way, and it's gotten me tons of meetings. It's gotten me conversations in the organization, or at least triggered someone into the organization to reach out to me because I'm sending connection requests. You can look at that as good or bad, but it usually gets the conversation going. Now, there are, some drawbacks to that. If you send too many connection requests in a shorter period of time, LinkedIn will flag you from sending connection requests for at least a week, in my experience. So, and I work for the company. So be careful with that. Be mindful of who you're sending connection requests to. Don't spam people. I implore people not to spam people, but just know there will be a limit and you will be halted from sending connection requests after a certain threshold. The other piece of it is like the reason I send connection requests is because if I send an email, someone doesn't respond, then I have to wait for a period of time before I can send another message. If they haven't responded to one email, what makes you think they're going to respond to another one? So I just send a connection request because once I send a connection request, and if they accept it, I can send them a limited amount of messages. Now, I'm not saying spam people, but now I don't have to wait that dead time until they respond if I need to follow up with them. So that is something that I feel is effective to get messaging and to get people to respond, is send a connection request. Once they accept, then you follow up and say, hey, let's set up a meeting. And I usually ask for a meeting in the connection request. Creating lists. Creating lists is very important for a myriad of reasons. But when you create a list, that means when you do a search for accounts or for contacts, aka leads, you will see a button that says save. You want to put those people in a list. I have crafted like dozens of lists, but you want to create a list because when something happens with that organization or with that person, you will be alerted to it. If it's not a push notification, you'll at least be able to see that news or change about that company or person on your news feed when you go into Sales Navigator on your homepage. Why is that important? It makes for better conversation when you do your outreach. It allows you to engage with someone or with a company. So like if someone's posting or the company page is posting, you can share, a comment from Sales Navigator. Well, we know it takes about 7 touch points for someone to engage back with you. So that's some engagement that you can get there. But also it makes you sound more intelligent, more competent, like you've done your research. When you reach out to someone and say, oh, I just saw that you guys received funding, or you just acquired this company, or just were acquired, it allows you to speak more intelligently about the company. If you're talking about a person, oh, you just got promoted. I always want to reach out to decision makers. When I see someone has just changed jobs, I want to reach out to them immediately for twofold. If they are someone coming into the organization and replacing someone that was a blocker, great. I could start a new relationship and try to get in with this person. Or if they were someone that was promoted up, right? And I was already working with them, that's a great conversation to have with that person. The other piece of that is if they were a past customer at a different company and they're going to a new company that I'm targeting, wonderful. Now I can have a conversation with that person because it's going to be a win-win more than likely because they came from a company where they were advocate or a champion and they're familiar with our product. And now they're coming into the new company and they're able to let us know what the ins and outs are and if it's going to be a fit for their company. So it makes it an easier sale. So you always want to create those lists and get alerted when something happens with that person. It just makes you sound more intelligent when you reach out to them. It makes you sound more competent, make you sound like you've done research or that you're actually invested in them as a customer. So make sure that you're creating account list and lead list so that you stay up to date about who you're targeting. All right, next one, leveraging new features on the platform. So there are new features. We're going to talk about those. One is the relationship map. Relationship map allows you to create up to 5 hierarchy maps. And like you could do it for departments, you could do it for the entire organization, but this allows you to kind of have an understanding of the decision-making tree, company hierarchy, who stakeholders may be, who may be involved in the deal. And that's critical, especially at a company like LinkedIn where we have different lines of business. So if I've created a map, my entire organization may be able to see that map, and that therefore we know who is involved in certain decisions and who we need to talk to, because my relationship at an enterprise level might be higher than someone that's at a SMB or a mid-market level, and knowing who to talk to. And so that's critical when you're having conversations and you're able to find out if a decision maker left that you've never talked to and that you're not connected to. But also, you don't want to have any blind spots of people that are coming into the decision-making tree, and having that somewhere that you can look at. If you're a corporate client or you have the Sales Navigator synced to your CRM, typically Salesforce or Dynamics, you're able to leverage that now in your CRM, which is critical when you're trying to figure out the structure of a company, right? Especially if you're an account executive who's, going to get a new business, you don't know every person in that organization. But if you're someone like me, I need to keep track of who my decision makers are, where they fall on the hierarchy. It's a great tool to use, especially just for organizing and understanding your company. The other piece of that, and the other new feature, is Account IQ. So that's tip number 5, use Account IQ. It will allow you to understand the organization and what's going on with the organization, do research on the company without having to go to a bunch of different resources to pull information, right? So this is something that is fairly new to LinkedIn. Sales Navigator came out the first half of our fiscal year, which was July to December. So end of last year. And it works for companies that are at least 200 employees or higher. And it's going to pull information about their objectives, their challenges, what's going on in the news, any priorities, anything that they put out there on the internet, right? We're gonna grab that data. Now, instead of having to spend time, especially for privately owned companies, it's very hard to get that information and resource it, right? And then if you're looking at a publicly traded company, you gotta scour through the 10Q or whatever. You may have to hop on a call in 5 minutes. You don't have time to do all that stuff. And maybe you just want something really quick to talk to them about. This is a tool that'll allow you, to sound more intelligent. Sounds like you've done your research, but it's something you can leverage and say, hey, are these still priorities? Are these still challenges? Is this where you guys are going? And it just makes them for a more effective conversation with the customer, but also builds credibility really quickly. So it is an efficiency piece, but it's also making you more effective as a seller because you have things that you can reference while you're on a call with a customer, because it's right there, right? All in one stop shop. Okay. Tip number 1 was leverage hidden allies. Tip number 2 was send connection requests. Tip number 3, create lists. Tip number 4, leverage the relationship map in Sales Navigator. Tip number 5, use Account IQ in Sales Navigator. And number 6 is use Smart Links. Smart Links is a feature that's been on Sales Navigator for quite a while. It basically allows you to upload collateral, files, websites to a link in one place and be able to send that to your customer or your target. Why is this useful? Well, 1, you don't have to send them a bunch of PDFs and files for them to click through. They can actually just click on this link and it'll have all of the files and things that they want to scan through. But 2, it's a good way to track who's looking and how serious the customer is, right? So if I send the link over and you never click on the link, I'll know that, right? But if you do click on the link, I'll know that too. And I'll know how much time you spent on that link, where you went in the link, how much time you spent in that link, and the specific collateral. If I send a PowerPoint, I'll know how much time you spent on each page of a PowerPoint, right? So being able to understand what your customers are doing, your targets are doing, if they're actually serious about it. The third one is, a lot of times you have gatekeepers. We're in sales. We understand that they're gatekeepers. So they won't tell you who the stakeholders are, who the decision makers are, etc. But if I send over a proposal, I have the ability not to make my files downloadable. Now, once I send that file to you, you click that link. But if you send that link to anyone else in your organization, because the link is hot, right? So I can send that link via text, via email, via Sales Navigator, what have you. Once you click on that link is hot, right? It is telling me everything, right? It's telling me who's clicking in it. So even if you didn't tell me who the decision maker is, if you send it to them, I will know, and I will know how much time they spent looking at it. So that's another way to kind of understand who's in the decision-making tree, who's a key stakeholder, but how serious the customer target is about your proposal. So something to use. All right, last one I'll give you, this is a bonus, and this is more so if you have a corporate contract. So typically corporate contracts require 10 or more seats, but if you are on the platform and you have multiple sellers, you can use the team link function. The team link function is like table stakes, right? It allows you to leverage the connections of your fellow sellers on Sales Navigator, right? So in an organization like LinkedIn, 18,000 employees, I don't know every employee. It's impossible for me to know that, right? So know all of them. So being able to use Team Link for my fellow sellers, right? I can reach out, and because we're a Microsoft company, I also have connections to the Microsoft umbrella, right? So I can reach out to people and say, hey, I see you're connected to John at this XYZ company, who's the VP of operations. Are you able to warm introduce me, right? If the person knows them or they don't know them, they'll let me know. And now that's an easier way into that organization, right? If I can get someone that actually knows this person has worked with them or has a personal relationship with them and they introduce me, that person is more than likely going to respond to me, right? I just had it happen last week where I had one of my colleagues reach out to a director in one of my largest renewals. He responded in less than 2 days. And I had reached out to him before. So, leveraging those relationships will allow you to have quicker conversations. It builds credibility because if someone's reaching out on your behalf, then the person is likely to think you're credible or someone that they should speak to, right? So that is another key one. If you do have a corporate contract, make sure you are leveraging Team Link feature where you can leverage the relationships of not only your Sales Navigator, fellow Sales Navigator users, but the people in your organization, because we give you Team Link extend seats for people that won't be using Sales Navigator, but allow you to look at who they are connected to on the platform. So hopefully this will be helpful. This will help you get some more meetings, help you close your deals quicker. So as always, I tell you guys, be easy or don't, but every choice has a consequence and every action has a reaction. Talk to y'all soon.